My dog is so obsessed with the ball and with fetch and literally anything you throw. Anything. And it's interesting because pick something up in your hand like it's a toy, like we're going to play, and you become his master. Literally, you are his master now. And he's a slave to that ball. I want you to think about what in your life is like that, where you're hyperfixated on something that's wearing you down, or maybe just indulging too much in something that's wearing you down. For most of us, that's an idea. That's a thinking pattern. That's memories. We're indulging in these things. It's picking up momentum. It's feeling sticky. The thing is, they become our master whenever we become attached to something like that and fixated on it. They become our master, and we lose ourselves in that. And that causes pain and suffering. There's a lot of talk about goal setting and following your dreams and really going for it. But you really need to ask yourself, how does that make you feel? Like, are you inspired by it? Or are you scared shitless of it? Or are they one and the same? Overwhelming and impossible. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. If something feels overwhelming and impossible, how likely are you to pursue it? So, in other words, again, is it how we're looking at it that's the problem? And can we ease the load and ease the burden and make it something more fun and intuitive and really get into what is it about TV? And is there just one thing, is there one skill that I would love to develop? Think about that. Is there one skill that I would love to develop in pursuit of this dream or goal? Because it's always about the becoming. That's what it's about. What is it that's holding me back? And usually it's that evolution as a person. That's why I said this is about the becoming. It's usually the evolution of a person. And so what's overwhelming is like, wait a second, do I have what it takes to put myself out there and to do it with, gusto and courage and faith in the face of potential ridicule, right? Am I right? Is this what it's really about? Sharing your story? And instead of moving into that inspired, what we do is we think about all these illusions that will, for the sake of this argument, we'll call them truths, right? The truths, like what's going on in the industry or what people are saying or what my friends are doing, right? I call them illusions, though, because it really doesn't have any bearing on you following through on your core intention here, the real idea, the inspiring idea. So in other words, we find all the extraneous reasons to avoid going directly into the sun, directly into the light, directly into the inspiration. Why do we do that? It's called the golden shadow. We're afraid of our own brilliance. We're afraid of our own power. Why? Because we've been trained that way. Why? Because society values safety over all else. We'll give away our freedom for it. Be careful not to give away your freedom for safety, because the truth is it's not safer that way. It's an unhealthy way to live. And those of you who've been living that way for some time, it doesn't feel good. Energetically, it's dampening your spirit and your vibration and your physical body, all of it. So we're talking about health. We're talking about vibrancy. We're talking about upward spiral versus downward spiral, all having to do with you getting in harmony with your true heart's desire. That's a necessity. It's not a luxury. Interesting how our survival mechanism has evolved to keep us safe and away from pain, but that actually now is hurting us. We've developed this intelligence and we were gifted with this higher faculty of imagination, and that is part of our spiritual nature that needs expression. There are limitless possibilities. You have no idea the resources available to you right now if you were to release the resistance and raise your vibe. I have no idea the resources that are available to you. None of us do. Like, we get into this, sorry to say, egotistical mode where we think we understand the universe. We don't. But we can understand how to actually manage our own vibration and send out a signal and get a better response from the universe. It's when we start making all these assumptions about what it is and what it's going to be In other words, we're projecting out with this incredibly powerful faculty of imagination to worry instead of to deliberately manifest positive results. I like that you use the word navigate, but in this case, I would say neutralize, because you can't really navigate around a trigger, unfortunately, because it does nothing to, it does nothing to relieve that trigger going forward. So the key is to recognize that a trigger is, this is important, it may be triggering negative emotion, but it's actually triggering positive emotion and a positive shift. That's a massive perception shift that you can have right now that'll ripple out into your life. If you understand that every negative emotional trigger is actually triggering you into a positive shift, you're going to start to relish in the triggers. You're not going to take yourself so seriously anymore. You're going to realize, oh my gosh, there it is again. And it's showing me something I want. It's just disguised as something I don't want. And the more I avoid it, or the more I let the autopilot react, the worse that trigger gets. So the only option is to become conscious of what's going on when you get triggered. So stop, drop, and roll, okay? Do not react the same way you always do. First thing to do is to stop and back up slowly. Make some space, because the autopilot is strong. There's no doubt you're going to get triggered emotionally and physically, and it's going to give you a stress response in your body. That is a fact. Now, what you do next is where the limitless possibilities come in. You get to respond to the trigger. So like I say, first things first, stop, drop, and roll. Get out of there. Just back up slowly. I need space. You need to reclaim your space so you can get right in here. That's what the trigger's telling you to do. It's telling you to look inward. What do we do instead? We look outward. What happens? It gets worse. We look outside of ourselves for someone to blame, right? We think that they're the cause of the trigger. So seductive, so sneaky the way this works. You're telling me I have to take responsibility for what that jackass did? It's not your fault, but it's your responsibility. Yes, because your vibration, you're the only one who can do anything about it. And that trigger is a triggered vibration. It's vibrational dissonance. That's what a trigger is. Vibrational dissonance, the clashing of two ideas inside your mind, the energy realm, the clashing of two ideas. What are the two ideas? One is, that guy's a jerk off. I hope he rots in hell, and I cannot believe he did that to me. What's the other idea? I create my own reality. Everything is love. I have complete compassion. I am non-judgmental. I'm here. I'm present. I'm grateful. Okay, that's the frequency of pure positive energy that's always permeating your entire being, by the way. Did you catch that? The frequency of source energy is permeating your entire being. And that is the frequency of pure positive energy, pure confidence and gratitude and love. And so when you get triggered, you fell into a reaction, an energy pattern reaction. And that just doesn't feel good. Source knows better, and source is in you. So you get pinged by source, and you get that vibrational dissonance. And source is just saying, just come home. Just turn your attention inward. Okay, you got lost out there for a second. Turn your attention inward, come home, and we got to talk. Okay, we're going to make up, and we're going to make a plan going forward, and we're just going to shift a little bit. We're going to have a little quantum leap. That's what will happen if you actually become aware of your trigger and you process it, you neutralize it, and utilize it to your advantage. Okay, that was a long-winded answer for that question, but trigger therapy is so close to my heart because it's my specialty. And I have a trigger worksheet that you can check out in my community if you want. Soon to come, a mini course on trigger therapy to walk you through the process of actually analyzing a trigger and giving you a roadmap going forward for how to think, how to feel, how to act, and what to believe. Those are all under your control. It's like art. I like to think of it like gardening, really. Okay? You're creating that beautiful garden, one trigger at a time, baby. You start with what you know. Do what you can with what you got right where you are. A beautiful saying, because what it's telling you is to just move, to take action. And There's something called the knowing doing gap. There's a gap between how much you know and what you're doing about it. What is that? Why is there a gap? I do know. I could reach out and make several key phone calls right now and get the ball rolling, but I'm not. Right? I could do some really powerful research and leverage AI and get an outline for my story. I could, look up how to publish my book, or not a book. We're talking about a production company, whatever it is. There's probably a short list of really powerful key action items you could take. Are they going to be fruitful? We don't know. That's the thing. That's why it takes courage and faith to be your authentic self. But what's the alternative? The familiar past, the known, comfortable cage, the straitjacket. Those are the options we have. But I'm going to tell you, it's exhilarating AF to get in boost mode and go, to fall forward, to practice presence, to practice radical compassion as you work your way toward your dream and you work on getting out of your own way. Why am I putting so much added complexity on this? Why am I acting like I'm not as smart as I am at this? I can't tell you how many times I did that. In the first few years of coaching, before I would go on and do a talk, if I was going on someone's group or before I'd go on a coaching call, I would be frantically flipping through books, looking for that critical piece of information that I needed. Literally fixated, just like my dog on the ball, like we were talking about earlier. For me, it was new information because I didn't feel like I knew enough. I'm a walking encyclopedia for personal development, but you create your own reality. So I created that. My insecurity created this vacuum, this hole before I would go do something that felt heavy or felt important. And I'd have to fill that with new information. And it was a feverish thing. So not good, not comfortable. And it took some practice to operate on a higher frequency. I'm not even attached to the outcome here, by the way. Right? To get on this live, I'm not attached to the outcome. I'm here sharing my heart and speaking my truth. And that's what matters most to me. That's my highest priority. As long as I'm in alignment with that, I'm good.